The biggest bottleneck to the marriage-based green card is marital fraud. If they suspect, like you guys are living in two separate apartments.
Talk about today. Look at immigration pathways that are available to you as an immigrant, especially if you are an F-1, to be able to settle down and feel comfortable, sit and relax.
Right.
How do you know that?
For EB-3, yeah. EB-3, it's very unlike the national interest waiver that requires an advanced degree. You don't need an advanced degrey for EB-3.
You just need a bachelor's degree. That's
US. Yes, the bachelor is the main criteria is a bachelor for the US. In fact, I love this. I know Blessing know the person where I want to talk about. I know person where it come from.
How do you do asylum? To carry a phone.
Listen, I want to tell you so now. You must say that they persecute you.
You can't first come school first.
A lot of this, what is going to be said on this podcast today, is personal opinions and does not reflect anything as regards the laws of the USCIS or doesn't contain the experiences of different immigration lawyers, which I highly recommend you consult in all cases if you are talking about immigration, because they have the best resource to be able to answer this. So for OPTs, the idea is you use what academic knowledge you have to have a practical training outside of school. Then you do that for the first year, then you can extend for 2 more years, give you a total of 3 years. Now the idea is within these 3 years, you're already looking for a way to adjust your status. Because if you don't adjust your status within the 3 years of OPT, you are going back home to Nigeria. In fact, let me even shock you. If you don't even have a bachelor's degree and you are a skilled worker with 2 or 3 years of experience, let's say you went to a technical school here in the US, you can also apply for EB-3. Wow. Lastly, if you don't even have any skills, but you have years of experience, you are a chef, you are a good cook, there's a particular occupation that you do that everybody knows you for, even without having a bachelor's, you are eligible for EB-3 visas.
Yeah, hi everyone. You're welcome to episode 5 of the McBleny Podcast. I hope you guys have been enjoying our previous episode. Last week we looked at mental health in multiple dimensions. You know, how maybe workplace or just trying to settle in the US, how this might have some impact on you, your spouse if you have a spouse, and maybe you trying to just acclimatize or acculturate into the system. We are looking forward to an interesting episode today. My colleagues are always ready, lock and load. They are ready to go to talk about today. Look at immigration pathways that are available to you as an immigrant, especially if you are an F-1, to be able to settle down and feel comfortable, sit and relax in the US, So that's what we're trying to delve into today, and I hope you have a really, really nice time. By the way, remember to hit the notification bell and subscribe to the channel. So I would hand over to my colleagues. Aikohi, get us there. Let's go.
All right, guys. It's always fun to be here, to be with you two gentlemen. But all I've enjoyed the first 4 episodes, and just like Eni mentioned, today we're going to be talking a little bit about the immigration pathway, especially for international students that came in through F-1. The other pathways to get to the US, but we're focusing on the F-1 because for 3 or 4, majorly that was a pathway by which we go to the States. But of course, I just want to let you know that there are other pathways. Some people can also come in through other kinds of visas that are available there. They have K visas, you have F2, different kinds of visas, visas and all of that. But quickly, just to let you guys know that immigration policies have actually changed a lot since the new administration took over, which is kind of expected with every administration. Every administration, whether it's Democrats or Republicans.
Allow me to quickly put a pause. I just want to say that we're not immigration experts. We're not immigration
Yeah.
right? This is for your own, benefit, and we would advise that you do your diligence if you're going to use some of the advice. We are rolling out, and like Mark is saying, some of these things change as well. So, yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you for chipping that in. Just like Eni said, a lot of this what is going to be said on this podcast today is personal opinions and does not reflect anything as regards the laws of the USCIS or doesn't contain the experiences of different immigration lawyers, which I highly recommend you consult in all cases if you were talking about immigration, because they have the best resource to be able to answer this. But luckily for us too, we're fortunate enough to also go through this process. We're just sharing our experience. So when you listen to us, just know that it's a personal opinion. Like I was saying, like with every administration, there's usually a change of the immigration laws from the Democrats, especially to the Republicans. If it's Democrat is a lot easier. There tend to be a lot of continuity. But for Republicans switching over to Democrats or for Democrats switching over to Republicans, they always try to repeal some of the laws for immigration, and it changes that process drastically. The new Secretary of DHS, Department of Homeland Security, Christine Neom, following the directive of the presidency, has made some changes. Just to give you an example, for the TPS, which is temporary protected status for some nations, especially Haiti, initially used to be 18 months, but the new policy now is 12. So what that means is you always have that protection for just 12 months, and there's even indication that there might be chances they will bring it shorter than 12. So that's just to give you an insight on how politics affects migration greatly. Well, I'm going to share my experience or our experience as international students. So the focus is going to be on F-1 really. So let's say you're done with school, you came in, like we were saying before, you had all those challenges, trying to figure out the money, trying to go through your academics, trying to make sure that you stay on top of things, trying to make the money, dealing with all kinds of issues, including mental health hurdles, including financial hurdles, and eventually graduate successfully, and now you have the degree. Now your plan is okay. The next step is let's get into the labor market and earn the moolah. Like we say in Nigeria, or earn the money. So it's not as easy like that. There are also steps that you also need to take. Just as you were coming in, you have to apply for a visa. You also have to apply for different kinds of visa for you to be able to work in the US, because a student visa will not give you the ability to work, but being a student give you a pathway to work. So that's the difference. So it means eventually what happens is you have to either change your kind of visa to a working visa, for example, like an H-1B, or alternatively, you can also stay on your F-1 visa and apply for what they call OPT. OPT is called Optional Practical Training. So I'm just going to give you guys a little insight into all of that. OPT usually can be taken before or after you graduate. Most people usually take it after because it gives them more time to be able to stay at a job and earn more money and eventually transition into maybe having a green card or other kinds of visas. But for certain people or certain programs, academic programs, it might require you to do an OPT while you're in school. So they call it CPT, curricular practical training, curriculum practical training. So what that entails is basically you're doing a portion of your OPT period while you're still in school, right? So now you have to be careful about CPT hours, because any CPT hours taken actually is taken from your OPT hours. So what am I trying to say? If eventually you do 1 hour of CPT and let's say your OPT practical training, you don't have an extension period, the chances that you have already used your OPT during CPT, and then you might have to switch directly to H-1B to be able to get a job. But usually most people usually take CPT for a few months. So usually what happens is they still have enough time to do an OPT. So if you're in STEM, which is science, technology, engineering, and maths, you're eligible to work in the US as an OPT candidate for 1 year. But for STEM, you also have an option of extending for 2 more years. So that's in total package is giving you 3 years for the OPT program. So usually that's the route by which most F1 students actually go through. After they finish the masters, they apply for OPT, or for some other students, if they want to do a PhD after the masters, they apply for a PhD program. Then at the end of the PhD program, you actually switch over to an OPT. And I actually did that. So I'm speaking from personal experience. So some of the fees associated with that, it's not a lot, but we're talking about between $400 and $500. And then maybe also if you want to fast track it, then you actually spend more. So at the end of the day, you still need money for this process. So eligibility is you must have done 1 year academic program within the States with full-time enrollment. So you can't come in for a program that is less than a year, and you can't do a part-time program. So it has to be a full enrollment whereby you are doing between 9 to 12 credits to be able to be eligible for you to do an OPT. So for OPTs, the idea is you use what academic knowledge you have to have a practical training outside of school. Then you do that for the first year. Then you can extend for 2 more years, give you a total of 3 years. Now, the idea is within these 3 years, you're already looking for a way to adjust your status. Because if you don't adjust your status within the 3 years of OPT, you are going back home to Nigeria. That is clear and simple. And so the best thing to do within those OPT years, which is 3 years, a lot of people have 2 parts. Either at the end of OPT, they are switching to EB-1 visas, or for some of us, you can actually apply through another program, which I'm going to talk a little bit about, called the National Interest Waiver, or EB-2 visas. So the EB-2 visa is also another pathway to get a green card. Now, the essence of getting a green card is you can work and live in the U.S. freely without any restrictions or any need for you to actually leave the country after a specific period. Because as a permanent resident, you have a lot of rights to live in the U.S. As long as you want. So that's a little bit about OPT and some of the eligibility and some of the fees associated with it. I already mentioned about the H-1B visa, so I'm going to talk a little bit of that too, because that's another pathway that you can use after your OPT practical training if you're not going the route of trying to fight for a green card directly. Now, for the H-1B, usually they're in 3 folds: H-1B, specialty occupation, H-1B2, and H-1B3. Most people fall into the H-1B1, which is a specialty occupation. So what that means is US have decided that this occupation is what is really needed within the country, and you don't have enough Americans doing it. So that translates to mean you need to have an employer that's willing to petition for you. So it's not something that you can self-petition for yourself, unlike the NIW, which I'm going to share a little bit more information on. So the criteria for this, or the requirement for this, is you have to be able to have the requisite skills and the requisite experience to place you in a position or in a category where your employer is going to be able to petition for you, because he believes that your skill and your experience is what he actually needs to be able to fulfill that role, because that's the requirement from the USCIS, right, for you as an immigrant. So for the H-1B specialty occupation, you have a specific registration period. So it's not like you can just apply anytime, right? So if we remember for an F-1 visa, you can look at the different periods and like, okay, you pick a date that is convenient for you and you go for it. This is not a question of personal convenience. This is a question of you have to fall in within the registration period. Like for the fiscal year of 2026, the registration started in March 7th. It's going to end on the 24th of this month. So it means if you miss that window for that year, that's it. So that is also very crucial, especially if you want to do the H-1B period. You have to know the enrollment period from USCIS. You always have to go to their bulletins, have all this information at the back of your mind. And you also have to have all the eligibility criteria or application criteria. You have to have a ready employer that gives you a job offer, that is willing to petition on your behalf. And you also have to have other requirements, which I'm not going to go into because it's a list of stuff. Right. But the key thing is 2 things. You have to have an employer ready to petition for you. You also have to have the required skills and documentation to be able to fulfill that role. And lastly, this is in combination with you and your employer. You have to have what they call ETA 9035, which is like a label of certifications, a label of certification from the Department of Labor. Right. So this is a process that if you don't start on time, right, that GOL or that ETA form doesn't get back to you on time. Now, where that becomes a problem is if those form doesn't get back to you on time, the chances of you missing the enrollment period is high. So what am I trying to say is basically you have to do a lot of due diligence, understand when the enrollment period is going to happen, and start having all your documentations ready so that within the enrollment period, your employer can actually petition for you and possibly you actually get it. And also remember, it is not an automatic process. So petitioning for an H-1B visa does not necessarily mean you're going to get it. They have selection, it's a selection period because the H-1B visas are limited. They don't just give it to everybody that petitions for it, right? Because each fiscal year has a total number of H-1B visas for all visa categories. This is not just for H-1B visas. For all visa categories, you have allocations or allotments. That's for each year or fiscal year, this is what they want to give out. So what am I saying? What am I trying to say? It's good to apply early. It's good to do everything on time so that your chances of getting the visas are actually high. So that's for the H-1B specialty occupation. There's also H-1B2, which is usually geared for people that have to do some work with DoD, Department of Defense. That's a special case, right? So they have that reserved for people that are doing certain kind of work. Like, for example, if you're a nuclear chemist or a nuclear physicist, and DoD wants to work with you because maybe some of the things you did during your research actually applies to defense, then you can actually, instead of going through the specialty occupation, you can do HB1 too. That's a lot quicker because it's not the route for everybody. Not everybody can work with DoD. But the fees associated with that for all three processes, HB1B, H1B, H1B1, HB1B2, H1B3 is about $2,500 or $2,500. Then the last one is H1B3, which is for people that are fashionistas or models, fashion models, which is I would think that thing is driven by Hollywood because I'm just thinking about it now. Which people have that kind of lobby power to be able to make the DoD or the USCIS have a special class for guys that can come in on a special visa, right? Like fashion model, that's a very niche class. So if you are a fashion model, let's say you've been in the Paris runway, you've made a lot of waves in the European market, and you want to come to the US and probably do things with other magazines here like Vogue, you can, without actually having a green card, you have that route specifically designed for you, H1B3, which is for fashion models. Like I said, on all cases, you need an ETA 1935 form, and you also need somebody to petition for you. And also you have to pay the fees, which is $2,500. Now, moving on from H1B visas, you also have what you call the O1 visas. The O1 visas is kind of similar to in the employment-based visas because in terms of the criteria, it's for people that have extraordinary abilities. Let's say you're doing something that the average person is not doing. You're doing a certain kind of research, or you're doing a certain kind of business analytics that a lot of people actually don't do. That pathway is actually also for you. But rarely, a lot of people are not very aware of the O1 visas, but it's out there. But it's very similar to the employment-based visas. It's just that you need a little bit more criteria, a little bit more stuff, because when I start talking about the employment-based visas, it's more or less similar to the EB-1 because you need way more stuff compared to just having an advanced degree. You really need to demonstrate that you have an extraordinary ability. They have to be people that can verify that claim, giving you letters of references and saying, and you have to have, in most cases, something like a word acclaimed. People would know you already and like, oh yeah, we know this guy, so we're going to give him the visit. So the price for that, so the fees for that, $460. Now, just to give you guys some validity periods, before I continue, for the OPT, I already said is 1. You can extend for 2. That's a total of 3. For the H1B visas, or its initial validity is 3 years. Then you can extend for another 3 years. So a maximum of 6. And the same thing applies for the O1 visas. So what that means is this. You get H1B once, 3 years. You get another H1B, 2, 3 years, 6 years. That's it, McBleny. So if you know adjust status within 6 years, Just like for the guy who do OPT, we are going home. So, but 6 years is a long time for you to be able to figure out a lot of stuff. And also, it can also be very short if you don't have a plan. So it seems like, oh, you have 6 years to figure things out, but not true. You have to have a plan right from year one so that before your second iteration of HB1 visas get it, validity get expired, you must have already adjusted your status. You cannot extend these visas beyond 6 years. Please put that at the back of your mind. You have to make sure that if you want to do anything for OPT within 3 years, figure out yourself. For H1B visa or visas, 6 years, better figure out yourself. Now, like I told you,
before you move on, because what you're saying is important. Even though you have these 3-year blocks, you have to qualify and you have to get approval. You have to maybe win the lottery for that. It's not like they're just going to give you like 3 years.
It's not automatic. Yes, it's a selection process. I already said that.
Yeah. I just want you to emphasize that you're saying 3 year block, but yes, you have to. Then you have that opportunity to.
Yes. Just like Eni said, it's not automatic. It's not automatic, to be honest. Both for the H1B visas, especially because of the selection criteria that is required. So you must make sure that you have everything in place. Right now, it's even more tricky for H1B because there's an enrollment period. You see what I'm saying? So if you don't get prepared and you miss the enrollment period, the chances that you're going to be out of status is very high. So the key thing for those kind of visas is enough preparation can never be enough. Just keep making sure that you're on top of your game, you're on top of every single situation, so that by the time the selection period starts, your chance of getting that visa is very high. Thank you for highlighting that.
I'm just a little curious. So if somebody gets selected for the first H1B lottery in our term, and they spend the first 3 years, for the second time, are they going through the lottery system again, or they automatically because they already have H1B like the first time, so and you applied the second time, do you just move, or do they just automatically give them another 3 years, or you have to go into the lottery system again for the second time?
Yeah, that's a good question. Now, to address that, just like OPT, it's the same thing with H1B. You have to fulfill the requirements again. So, the chances, I would say this, I'm not a USCIS officer, but like from interactions I've had with people that have had H1B, the chances of a second H1B tend to be higher than the first one, right? Especially if it's the same occupation. If you are doing the same job that you got the first selection process for, right? But you have to do exactly the same thing. Because the trick is like getting H1B visa because Americans are not within that profession. So a lot can happen in 3 years. Is it possible that? So I'm talking about the specialty occupation now. I'm not talking about the whole H1B, the whole 3 classes. Okay. Not for the guy in DOD, not for the fashion model route. I'm talking about the specialty occupation. The specialty occupation, you are riding on the fact that only you have that skill set, and that's why the petitioner or the American employer is taking you ahead of an average American that can do that. So a lot can happen in 3 years.
Well, I mean, it's kind of interesting because I'm just here thinking about that, like how they come to that conclusion that they are selecting a specific person and they feel like this is the only person who has the skill set, because you have to prove to the government that there is no other person that you can hire and that is the reason why you're going. There's no American citizen that you can hire, and that's why you're going outside to bring somebody in, right? But again, the question there is, what I'm thinking about is it a matter of nobody else in a country with similar skills, or nobody has applied for that job? Nobody else with similar skills has applied for that job or for that role. I don't know if you understand the point I'm trying to make.
Yes, yes, and I think you have also answered a part of your question. I also, when I finish, I think Any wants to say a few things, so I'll let Any say when
Oh,
I'm done. Any can also, or Any can go in and chip in, then I can answer
no,
the whole question
actually,
together.
actually, go ahead. I think you're already answering. So yeah.
Okay, so you have already answered part of that question, right? So the way it works generally from the employer side of things, you have to put an advert out there, right? And
Yeah.
you have to make sure the job is public and people are applying for it. And the onus is on the employer to prove to USCIS there's no other person that fits that role other than you. The onus is not you, that it's
Mm.
the applicant. That is why you are not petitioning for yourself. It's the employer that's petitioning for you. So what that means is USCIS is going to ask the employer all the sets of questions that you're asking me now, and the answer has to be yes, that you are the guy for the job. So it's like, are you sure? Of course, there are people that have the same skill set, but the question is, are they applying for the jobs? That's one thing. Are
Mm.
they are they also in that location, and do they want to work for that organization? These are different kinds of there are
Yeah,
different
different
kinds of criteria
factors.
to this.
Mm.
Yes, so or different kind of factors to consider. So really, it's the onus doesn't lie on you as the applicant. The onus lies on the petitioner, which is the employer in this case, and that is why they have to. That is why the only thing you have to do in a collision with your employer is to make sure that all your documentation, which is the proof of body, right, that both of you come together and be able to provide that fact. Now that's why it's the selection process. USAID can also look at your facts and say, no, I don't think that there are no other Americans teaching chemistry in Georgia State. My brother, go and look for people that have read chemistry that are US citizens or permanent residents, and they fit that role better. So
Mm.
if that not gives more credence to why it's a selection process, because you are also giving them evidence, but they also have to consider evidence, looking at the different statistics from the Department of Labor, right? And also looking at the unemployment rate, or how many, because they have all the stats about the number of people that are graduating from chemistry, the unemployment rate, the jobs that are available, and in the different sector. So
Mm.
they also have to look at your evidence to be able to give you that visa, right? So that's how it works for the H1B, right? It's not automatic. It's not automatic. It's a selection process. You have to win the lottery, like both of you have said, or before you actually get the visa. I know that for H1B, for H1B2, for DOD, I would pretty much say if DOD wants you, the chances of USCIS saying no is low. I would say that, right? I don't know, but they can. I mean, there've been cases where maybe probably they've said no. Who knows? Also for the H1B3, I will also think, how many people they do wrong way for Vogue? Let's be honest. Those kind of people hardly get denied. Now, I'm just saying, right? Because first of all, the numbers are lower that are going to be applying for that visas, and the chances of the allocation of that, the allocatment or the number that will be allocated for a year, the chances of people actually filling it up might be lower. That's another thing to consider. That's why for the H1B one, it's very tricky. Right? You have way more people applying for a few number of visas. So if you have 5 visas and only one of many can show up, so boy, this is what the chances of USCIS saying no, whether the evidence there or not, is low, because they need to give that visa out, right? Though I know they can roll it over to different categories, but I'm just saying those are also the things to consider when you are talking
Mm.
about people that actually win or get allocated.
If you don't like feeling lost but still want to move to the US, then tune into the McBleny Podcast show. Meet Eni, Blessing, and Aikohi, your friendly guides to making the big move to the US. Whether you're dreaming of new opportunities or reuniting with family, we've got you covered. Our mission? To give you the tips, tricks, and insights you need to navigate the immigration process smoothly. So grab your headphones and get ready to embark on your journey with us. Welcome aboard.
These visas.
Yeah, if I can just add to it, because I wanted to listen to that. In terms of the lottery, I think Blessing asked that question. Whether you go into lottery again when you want to extend. If it's the same employer, you would, that the lottery doesn't come into play. This is far more technical than it is, but generally speaking, you're just continuing with your employer. You don't go back into the lottery. It's like you extend. But if you're switching employers, it's like you have to prove,
Okay.
Then there's also the case of, cap exempts, cap subjects, all that kind of movements. if you're moving, essentially, we're using these words. Try to do your own due diligence. It's always necessary. And as you know, we were just teasing out some information here, general idea. But I just wanted to highlight that portion that it can be confusing. What does this person do? Do they go back? Do they not go back? Of course, if you're in that case, you probably know what exactly you need to do. But even if you're not in that case, you can prepare ahead of time to know what you need to do, especially if you have an opportunity to switch to another employer. Does it make sense? You want to go back into the lottery? You want to think through that as well when you're planning. So I just wanted to chip that in.
Yes, thank you, Eni, for saying that, which is very important. That's we're able to address that. Like I said too, and like you already said, if it's the same employer, you usually don't lottery. The chances of you getting the visas are higher. If you're switching employers, you have to go back into the lottery and you could get denied. So it's at that stage it's pretty much like 50-50. So that's the pathway for H1B and the O1 visas. There's also another thing called TN visas. This doesn't apply a lot to international students, to be honest. This usually applies to Mexicans and Canadians, so I'm not going to focus so much on that. It's a trade visa. It was called trade NAFTA, but now they've switched it to USMCA, which is United Mexico Canada agreement visas. Basically, what it means is for just Canadian and Mexican citizens. The only thing I want to say back there is that if you're a permanent resident of both places, that visa doesn't apply to you. It's only for citizens. And now, out of all the fees, that's the cheapest. At the border, is about $56. Now, it means, if somebody has a Canadian citizen, the chances of them coming to work in America might probably be low. So, I think the way the USCIS has built in this course is they look at the probability of the people doing it, and then they're like, oh man, if there's more people doing it, the chances that the fees are going to be higher is there. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I think to add to that, they actually sat down and they discussed, so in that way, I'm going to give you this, you give me that, okay, my people want to. So it's different than I, or someone just picking up, oh, I want to come to the US.
I want to come to the US, because in that case, it's a bilateral, or in this case, a trilateral agreement between three countries. So there's a lot of, the foreign advisors from both countries are sitting down, hatching out all the details of the conversation, saying, oh no, you can't put $100 for the fees. It got to be 56. So there are people that are, because they know they are their citizens, so they're trying to fight on our behalf. Unlike you, that is an F-1 guy. There's no bilateral agreement between Nigeria and United States. In fact, if they like, they won't make visa fee $1,000. If you like, don't come.
I imagine there are some agreements, but specifically to that detail, no.
But specifically to fix it, because why I'm saying that is I had this experience when I went back to Nigeria for a while. Under the first administration of Trump, there was something called a visa priority fee.
The $200 after you get
$160. Yeah, that's what I paid. Bro, I didn't even know this information until I got to the embassy.
It was. I think it was. I remember.
Now the way it works then. It's if you don't get a visa, you don't pay the fee, of course, right? You don't pay the visa fee, reciprocity fee, like they said it at that time. But once you get a visa, you have to pay that fee before they take your passport. Nobody told me that was just like say, oh boy, they just tell boy say, well, if you want come. If you don't want come, you just stay Lagos and relax. So I had to pay $160. Before I could get an extension of my F-1 visa, which is crazy, which I didn't have to do the first time when I was coming in. So I'm saying they scrapped out the fee when Biden came back in. So that's what I'm saying. When you switch between different administrations, that's how politics can actually affect the situation.
Yeah.
Right? So when Biden came, like, oh, no, let's take it out. But Baba don't come again. Well, the chances of the fee coming back is high. So because I'm going to talk a little bit about how the visa fees for USCIS have gone up drastically. Even with this new administration, a lot of things are changing, especially for the entrepreneurial visas. When we get there, we'll talk a little bit about that. So now the most popular routes of adjusting status after school, or even if you came through B visas or visitors visas or any other kind of visas, is marriage through green card. Now, though That, though is the most common route, is also the most tricky and the most looked into currently from the USCIS.
Well, that's interesting. I didn't even know this you're saying. Did they put a statement out in that way for F1 visas transferring to?
No. I'm saying the most common route generally. I'm not talking about.
Oh,
F1
yeah,
visa.
I wanted to be sure.
No, I ain't talking about F1 visa student. I'm saying F1 visa student. That marriage through green card is also an opportunity for
under
you.
the family subsidy.
He exists. He exists. So outside of being a student, that route exists for you too to adjust your status. You must not go through trying to do OPT first, trying to do H1B, then trying to do the employment bid visas eventually. If you can be in school, marry, before you finish school, get a green card. And don't have to even worry about OPT or worry about H1B. So marriage through green card, generally, I'm not saying for every international student. I'm saying generally, it's the most common route for through which people adjust status in the United States. But for F1 students, I haven't done the statistics to know how many F1 students actually goes through the marriage-based route compared to the employment-based route. But I'm pretty sure it's quite a high number because I've had friends and I've had interactions with people that have done it. So I'm just going to share a little bit light on that for the marriage-based green card. Though it's common, it's also very most looked into because of the issue of marriage fraud, which is becoming more and more common, especially for Nigerians. The USCIS. Yes. This is a new fact. This is a known fact. If you leave,
like a documented factor.
Say that again.
Like, is a documented fact that Nigerians are like the biggest culprits.
I'm not saying Nigerians are the most biggest corporate. I'm saying what I'm saying is generally now the trend now for marriage based fraud in terms of green cards, right? Especially in cities that are dominated by blacks. Like, I know this for Georgia as a fact because I have not just experience with it, because I also have people that went through that route and people that had issues with marriage-based frauds. Right now,
aka arranged marriage.
USCIS doesn't have any data out there that says it's just Nigerians. Let's be clear. The USCIS doesn't have any data out there that say they are looking more into a specific subset of people with marriage fraud, but they take marriage fraud very seriously compared to any other kinds of frauds.
Absolutely. Well, I think they take every fraud seriously. But yeah, marriage.
No, I'm saying for marriage fraud, like for employment-based visas, you can come in and not have all your requirements. There's a way they will look at it, allow you have been paying taxes, but for marriage-based green card, now the reason why they look more into marriage-based green card is if you do an employment-based visa, to become a citizen takes you 5 years. For a marriage-based green card, it's 3 years to become a citizen. So they know that the implication is very different for a marriage-based case compared to an employment-based case. So if you have a green card through marriage, within 3 years, you can adjust your status. You already adjusted your status, but you can apply for citizenship within 3 years. But for employment-based, whether it's EB-1, EB-2, you have to wait for 5 years to be able to apply for citizenship.
Mark, not to cut you short, I think it's more of the propensity for abuse in itself. Look at it. Can I go to my company and tell them to try and get me this green card? You see, it's hard. It's very hard. Even if it's a 1 year thing, it's going to be more harder than say someone goes, they meet someone and let me try and do this thing and I'll pay and things like that. I think what you're saying is not invalid because it's quicker, of course, but I think the propensity for abuse is just, employer, they want to get work done. Why are they trying to file, do all that stress? It costs them a lot of money also to file. I've heard some companies pay 50K, some lawyers charge 5K for every email.
Yeah, I think you are right. That factors into it. No, but also I also think
valid.
America is it's whether America believes so much on the family tradition. It's not just because of the employers. It's because they don't want to separate families. That's why the path to citizenship through marriage or through family is quicker.
And it makes sense too.
Yes, because they know they know that now you're marrying their citizens, right? So this is an American, unlike you being an alien. So because of, I believe, because of the family values too, that's why that route through marriage or through sponsorship, which they call it, is actually quicker. And now, just so that we don't digress a bit, I'm going to talk a little bit about it. For the marriage-based cases, so I just already highlighted you need a sponsor support, just like you get petitioned. You have an employer to petition for you for H-1B visa. For the marriage-based green card, you need your spouse to be able to petition on your behalf to get a green card. Now, the petition works in the sense that this is my spouse. I don't want family to be separated. Give him a green card. That's the basis of the eligibility, right? So you fill out I've not really mentioned a lot of the forms because I think you can actually get this information online. I'm not going to say a little bit of the form, but basically what happens is the spouse petition for you. Basically, now the advantage of a marriage-based green card is you don't need a lot of evidence. The only evidence you need is proof of the marriage and proof of the relationship. Or like an employment-based visa where you have to do publications, you have to talk about your research, you have to write a statement, you have to do all of that. For a marriage base, the woman does have to say, this is my husband, this is the certificate of marriage, we're in this marriage together. Then the officer doesn't have any choice, if there's no marriage fraud, to give you a green card. So that's how strong the family is.
I don't know. Are you sure they can't still just decide not to give, even if you have everything?
They can delay it. They can delay it, but they can't stop it.
They can delay all the.
Because let me tell you, there have been cases where people have sued the USCIS spouse.
Because I was thinking at the discretion of the officer.
Huh?
I was thinking to be at the discretion of the officer to choose, decide whether to.
It is still at the discretion of the officers, but I believe, this is my personal opinion. I believe they can't stop it if there's no marriage fraud. You don't get what I'm saying. So what they do, what I think they do, because from a lot of interactions and for some experience, what they do is this: when you guys go for interviews, right, you and your spouse are there, because that's when they determine if they're going to give you the green card or not, right? They try to look for proof of the marriage. Do you have pictures of where the marriage was done? Do you have a marriage certificate? The most important thing they ask is, do you have any issue? By issue, I mean, do you have any child of the marriage? Now, why children are important is if that woman has born for you, you cannot escape child support. See, I mean, the way the system is structured, they know that you already have roots within the country. That is your child. This is a fruit. The biggest proof that is not a marital fraud is when you guys have children together and you guys are living in the same apartment. You guys have joint accounts. Both of you have bought a house. Like, okay, if eventually you can't divorce, you can't just wake up and go to Niger. Because there are a lot of roots tying you down here. So those are the things that they look at. And that's why I keep saying that I don't think they can stop. They can delay it. They can look at your interview and say you don't have enough. So the only way they're going to delay it, they'll look at you and say you don't have enough evidence.
Request for further evidence.
I do an ROFE.
Potentially.
But if everything is legit, marriage can't be. When I get joint documents, begin day. As soon as I enter the interview, now they kiss. The man don't get choice. What do you want to do? They say, making it kind of make una come out, go out, go finish what you want to do. Well, I'm not doing this on many Greek card. I'm telling you for personal experience, the guy carrying you Ishuma enter the play, begin the kiss. They don't get choice. That's what they do.
They see fraud. They go see Ulam. Forget those guys. Though.
No, I'm saying the guy has
everything's in the place. Yeah.
No,
they already had they had bought a car together. The girl's name was there. They have a house. They get on they pregnant already. Like they could see the pregnancy. Never
leave our
found it.
office. Let's attend to
So
this.
they enter now. So baby. You know Nigeria. Baby. They're weak. They're not even fit talk anything. They say, how long when I don't marry? So this is just the switch on like this. So I'm not even do 20 minutes. They just ask her where address, they confirm address, and tell you get your green card in the mail. So I'm saying that to say this, that it's a very legit route if you are devoid of marital fraud. The biggest bottleneck to the marriage-based green card is marital fraud. If they suspect, like you guys are living in two separate apartments, it's already a red flag. You're married. So it's understandable if you are schooling in a different place and she's working in a different place. Those are circumstances they can consider. You guys are living in the same state but living in different houses. Or there's no product of the marriage. Or, like I said, this is not like there's any statistics out there, but the scrutiny is higher. A lot of immigration lawyers have said this in Atlanta. It's not just me. You can go online, go to YouTube, and you see it. But Atlanta, Nigerians, they look more. I'm not saying there's there's no data to back this up. This is an opinion, but I'm saying if you go on YouTube, immigration lawyers that have filed on behalf of Nigerians are the ones saying this.
Well, I mean,
and for Nigerians that have also gone in for interviews, it's very different. It's very different. Like I've had folks tell me that the first thing they do as a Nigerian, as you come in, they look at your nationality. First of all, they put you in the room because you come into an office, sit in an office with the USCIS officer. That leaves you and come like very nonchalant. I'm not saying it's nonchalant on their part. They leave you go. Maybe they are looking at how you are behaving from the camera, doing a lot of psychological manipulation tricks to see if you're going to break. Then they ask you more personal questions, which usually guys that are from European countries actually don't have to go through. I mean, this information are out there. I'm not saying personal opinion. I'm saying opinions of immigration lawyers. You bring us just go there and 5-10 minutes you're done. Nigeria, you are there 2-3 hours.
I mean, if I can, what you're saying makes sense, and I agree because also the concentration of people there. Because I imagine it may be folks that are living in, I don't know, Laredo, in Texas, where it's mostly Hispanics. They will have that thing ongoing. And also, if you have like Nigerians too, in like say College Station, for instance, Texas, where they both met in school and they're doing their thing. Actually, no, they don't worry because they're like, you are both students, you are the same year, like, guy, take your thing and go. They got theirs before someone that was living in Houston. Of course, Houston is another Atlanta case.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. That's why I said Atlanta.
Like cities, it can be a little.
Yeah, number of application matters a lot.
Then the chances of being getting. If data out there, they have their data. They can run the statistics, right? Mm-hmm. They can know, and there's also pattern recognition. There's a way the application might look. Like, this thing is looking like those ones that we've caught, then they have to scrutinize, right? So it's what they do every day. So, yeah.
And some cities, to make your point, some cities are notorious for this. Atlanta is notorious for marital fraud. Mm-hmm. It's not just, so what I'm saying is, if you're in Cleveland, you're a Nigerian, it doesn't matter whether you're a Nigerian. Because there have not been cases of people being caught with marital fraud. In Atlanta, there have been cases of one Black American woman fined for 3 Nigerians. Wow. Married, divorce. Man, McBleny, the USCI guy go, what is this Nigerian guy's body where all the rest from? You get what I'm trying to? If not the office. So I'm saying that
maybe that situation, the marriage didn't work out. What do you want her to do?
No, I'm not disputing whether she was doing that. I'm just saying they look at patterns, like you were saying. Mm-hmm. Patterns, and some cities that are notorious for it. Some cities, like I know for Cleveland, has one of the highest conversion rates for marital green cards, even for employment-based visas. Sometimes it's less than 6 months. You don't get what you won't get. The boy is not going to waste time. So let's not too bog down. Yeah, so I'm saying those are the criteria that you need for you got to get married, this petition, and that's a wrap for you. Then I'm going to talk a little bit about the employment-based business. I'm going to be quick with this. There are three types of employment visas: EB-1, EB-2, and EB-3. EB-1 really is for guys like has for outstanding researchers, outstanding professors. You have to have more than an advanced degree. You have to have things out there that people know you for. Very similar to the O1 visa. Number of people that applies for that is a little bit less. So if you have what you need, usually chances of getting an EB-1 visa is high. The EB-2 or the national interest waiver is the main requirement is you just have to have an advanced degree. And a lot of people that do some work that the US consider is very important to the economy. And I think that's the route through which I and Eni got a green card. So I have total knowledge of that pathway. You just, I think in my case, what you needed to do, I had an advanced degree, which in this case was a PhD. Then also I had some research work that was already published. Because they also believe so much that your work should be recognized by whatever scientific community that you are in. I had like a couple of publications. And also I think what also makes your chances very high is if you also have a letter of employment while you're applying for these visas. It makes the process a lot quicker. So the cost for that, it's give or take, initially starts with 700, and if you want to adjust status, it's about 1450. But you can actually do what they call premium processing, where you pay 2500 if you really want to get quick result. So for the EB-3 visa, you don't need an advanced degree. You can just have a bachelor's in the US and apply for it for yourself. A lot of people don't know that. So for EB-3, you don't need an advanced degree. You just need a bachelor degree from the US. So it means if you've done a bachelor degree here, you can apply for a green card yourself.
Really?
Right?
I didn't know
Yes.
that.
For EB-3, yeah. EB-3, it's very unlike the national interest waiver that requires an advanced degree. You don't need an advanced degree for EB-3.
You
just
just need a bachelor's degree. That's the
bachelor's for the US. Yes, a bachelor is the main criteria is a bachelor for the US. In fact, let me even shock you. If you don't even have a bachelor's degree and you are a skilled worker with 2 or 3 years of experience, let's say you went to a technical school here in the US, you can also apply for EB-3.
Wow.
Lastly, if you don't even have any skills, but you have years of experience, you are a chef, you are a good cook, there's a particular occupation that you do that everybody knows you for, even without having a bachelor's, you are eligible for EB-3 visas.
That is interesting.
A lot of people don't know that, so it's good that I just say that out there. That a lot of people know. Bachelors, skilled and unskilled workers, the route for you is EB-3. A lot of people don't apply for EB-3 because they are really not aware of it. It stops at EB-1 and EB-2, but that makes sense because a lot of us coming here are coming for school. Correct? Yeah. For the F-1 guys, right? Your chances of you having an advanced degree is high, so you don't want to do the EB-3. You usually do the EB-2 or the EB-1. But I'm saying for the guys that came in here for bachelors, because some of us also take that route instead of doing masters. That's a route for you. Instead of trying to do a masters and do EB-2, you can do an EB-3.
So, situation. Sorry, just a quick question, right? So, if somebody comes into the country and you transfer some of your credits from maybe from your previous country, let's say Nigeria, and you're coming to the US, you transfer some credit and just do 1 year course.
Yes.
In the final year, what do they call it? Senior year,
yes.
And you do it here. You just come here 1 year, you graduate in the senior year, and then you get a bachelor's degree in the US. Are you qualified to apply for the
Yes, you are qualified. The only way you need to do a 1 year full program with full enrollment, one academic year, is when you want to do an OPT. But for EB-3, if let's say, like you say, you transfer credits, you did some programs in the US, in Nigeria, you finished your bachelor's here, and let's say for me now, went to Georgia or any that went to Texas A&M or you that went to Georgia Southern. Georgia Southern gives you a bachelor's in public health or a bachelor's in chemistry or a bachelor's in. You are eligible for EB-3.
Wow, that was interesting. So, I mean, I'm sure there should be some other
the other criteria. I'm talking about in terms of the degrees. In terms of I'm talking about in terms of the degrees. For EB-1,
it shouldn't be that easy.
No, I mean no part of it is easy. I'm just saying about the minimum criteria that is required. For EB-1, outstanding, you have to have an advanced degree and also be an outstanding person in that field. EB-2, You just need an advanced degree. That's the main requirement, and show proof that whatever you are doing is benefiting the US. EB-3, the minimum requirement, like I just told you, is a bachelor. Bachelors, in fact, you don't even need a bachelor, like I said.
Skilled worker.
Both skilled and unskilled worker can also apply.
I think they had job offer, and
you must get a job offer. You must also get an employer that is willing, to be able to petition for you. Yeah. But I'm saying those things are easy to get if you already have the experience. Like, because the biggest drawback,
once you have it,
the biggest drawback is you actually having the advanced degree, because they won't even consider national interest waiver if you don't have an advanced degree from the US. Right? So I'm saying if you don't have the advanced degree, there's no hope is lost. You can do EB-3. Get an employer that sees your experience, look at your experience. Man, I like the way you cook this food. Makes sense. I don't think an American that can be able to cook a Niger dish. I'm just saying for those women that can make jollof rice. Solely jollof rice with better meat. They like the jollof rice saga now. You go just go meet one restaurant. Say, Baba, I will just make this jollof rice for now. The employer goes, man, the people when they enjoy this jollof rice, they go petition for you for EB-3. Sharply, because you don't even need degree. So people will not know that route they out there. So no hope is lost. Say when you just come, you don't go to school. You can also get a green card through that. But the key thing is you have to stay within status.
Always,
right?
Always.
Remember, always. The only way you can survive out of status green card switch is through the marriage-based green card. That's why I tell you, they respect family tradition a lot. It doesn't matter if you've been in this year 12 years and you've been out of status. The minute an American woman fights for you, my brother, they don't even consider it.
An American
no, they don't.
So there's something called, they will check it, right?
But they will check it. There's something called 245I. You have to be able not to fall out of that, like committing a crime. Like there's certain things that can make you ineligible. So you are a terrorist or you are a terrorist. It doesn't matter if you like go and marry the
length of out of stay.
It doesn't matter for marriage-based green cards. It doesn't matter whether you've been in this country 5-10 years, as long as you've not fall into those list of things on 245I, where you need to do an adjustment to your 485, whereby those criteria they will list it there. You've not committed certain crimes, you're not belong to a terrorist organization, you're not doing certain things. This information are out there. Just go to USCIS website. You can see what I'm saying. Being out of status doesn't matter for a marriage-based green card. That is not one of the criteria for ineligibility. You have ineligibility criteria for marriage-based green cards, and that's not one of it. So it doesn't matter if you come. That's why you see the guys doing the B2 visas. Usually go through that route. Because once they're out of status, once you get a Yahoo, it doesn't matter.
In fact, I know one guy actually that fell into that trap. He was, he's been in this country. He came through F-1. He came in through F-1. He was done with school. But I don't know, for some reasons, I think maybe he did OPT and then he did OPT and then it expired. At that point, he became, he got out of status. And, he was kind of very, got frustrated and was thinking about what to do and eventually wanted to try, the marriage fraud route, which, he wanted to pay somebody, wanted to pay someone. He had actually paid this girl $10,000. They violated the agreement and all that, paid her $10,000 ahead of time. And then they got to
the
interview. And that's where they denied the whole thing. Why? Because of the girl's criminal history. She has some criminal history.
Exactly.
That's, just, I think she had gone through that whole marriage.
She has done it before. Like I told you, when you see, once you are a repeat person, like that woman I told you about 3 guys now, there's no way. They look more into the case. But the onus is not on the guy now. The onus is on who is petitioning for you. That's how you get denied. It's not because you're out of status.
Yeah, it's because of the girl. And the funny thing is, what does it? He lost money because he cannot go and tell the girl that he needs his money back.
Or you cannot even talk say that marital fraud. Then you are putting more light on yourself.
You know, so that's why he lost his $10,000. Like his money just went off like that. And
So we also have a friend. We're not going to call name. Blessings are aware of this person. It came in through visitors visa. Had another brother in this country that did the same route. Tried the first marital stuff, it didn't work. Got the initial work authorization, and all that. Married another person and got a green card.
yeah,
So they don't worry out of status for marriage. Out of status plays a role for employment-based visas. So if you are if so I'm saying that to say this for the guys out there coming in, just know that get your antennas wired on. Marriage-based green card is the way to go. But you want to marry the woman for real. So what that means is you don't want to go and also the person you're marrying also try to understand the criminal history, just like Blessing was saying, so that you don't run into problems with somebody that's done this marital fraud before and then you get denied.
I think these
All
are
right.
public records, right?
Yes.
yeah,
So you can
yeah.
track it online or whatever.
Oh yeah. All marital licenses or certificates are available online in the US. Just go to
I'm
any.
saying, criminal record. Criminal record.
Oh yeah, criminal records. Yes, they're also available. So that's for EB-1, EB-2, EB-3. I will quickly talk a little bit about the entrepreneur visas. Entrepreneur visas, you have basically three types. You have the E2, the EB-5, and also the O1 visa. They also have an O1 visa for entrepreneur card. US a live bar, like just to the big money. So the E2 visa, basically, which is well, I'll start with the EB-5. The EB-5 is more common compared to the E2 visa. The EB-5 is where you're an immigrant, right? You're coming into the country and you want them to give you a green card. But the basis of that green card is you have to create a business to be able to employ minimum of 10 persons in the US for an average of 2 years. So, and the way they did the math, they know that there's a minimum cash requirement. It used to be 500K, but listen to how policies they change in terms of politics. Now it's $1,050,000 times 2 since the new administration came in. They've hiked up the price, so you can't just come with 500K and just get the visa anymore. You have to pay 1 million. Now, if you want to pay less, there's an avenue for paying less. You can pay 800K, which is not the same 500K, but you have to go to what they call a targeted employment area. Which basically is you going to the bush, the rural area, and generating a business there.
Bring
And
money.
employing
Bring your
so
money.
they're like, you can't stay in Atlanta, or but you go Macon, or go.
Don't be bush, oh.
I'm just saying.
I'm saying like more
Macon
bush.
City, man.
Plenty bush.
So which bush we go use now for Georgia?
Statesboro, that's still bush now.
Valdosta, you get Valdosta, all those.
Yeah.
Valdosta.
And,
Well, if somebody told me Valdosta is the onion capital of Georgia, I didn't know that. Yeah.
you
Oh, you know that.
there's so many small cities, small counties, that you never know. Georgia has about more than 150 counties.
Yeah, sure.
Majority of them are rural counties. Majority of them are
correct.
rural,
Absolutely.
If you don't like feeling lost but still want to move to the US, then tune into the McBleny Podcast show. Meet Eni, Blessing, and Aikohi, your friendly guides to making the big move to the US. Whether you're dreaming of new opportunities or reuniting with family, we've got you covered. Our mission? To give you the tips, tricks, and insights you need to navigate the immigration process smoothly. So grab your headphones and get ready to embark on your journey with us. Welcome aboard.
Yeah, so that's for EB2, then EB5, then for EB2, basically, it's also for a non-immigrant visas that allows national of certain countries. So it's not for everybody, right? So it has to be people that have a treaty agreement with the US. So somebody like Canada, somebody like Mexico. I know there are more countries that have treaties with the US, but I'm using those two countries as an example for for the E2 visa. So why EB5 is for everybody, the E2 visa is for only nationals that has treaty with the US, right? And so the cash inflow for that is a lot less because of you guys already have treaties and there's a lot of conversation that can be hard. But the more common route is EB-5, especially for people that don't have any relationship with the US. Then lastly, the O1 visa, which is for guys that have extraordinary abilities in business. Somebody like Aliko Dangote. And I think maybe that was the route he went through.
Is it only business?
Yes. Because it's an entrepreneurship visa now.
Oh, you said O1?
No, there are two different kinds of O1.
Oh, yeah,
I already said one O1 before on that one you are talking about, EB-1. So there's a different O1 for guys that are entrepreneurs. So it's these guys that have extraordinary ability in business. You know, they'll tell you like that.
I don't think they called him, guy. Come and take.
Nobody they apply for that thing.
Guys, don't they apply? Why they apply?
Because Otedala won't come up for Niger. Can't go stay US. You see what I saw?
I think they made him honorary Dangote honorary citizen of Virginia or something like that. I can't remember what it was.
Yeah. So no, I'm saying honorary citizen doesn't give you any status, but that O1 gives you a permanent resident that you can come in flying. Honorary, though, you can't come into the country.
Yeah, I'm just saying like all these ways to try.
But I'm saying, I'm trying to say you are correct. I believe they don't call this man say, "Oh, Benny, this thing is just $400 or maybe $250." You just pay and hold this thing, hoping that one day when you don't hold, you won't retire. You can collect tax from you. So that's the O1 visa. Then lastly, the last group I'm going to touch about, just to round this up, is the guys seeking asylum. Asylum visa. I know it's about. I know Blessing. Blessing. Know the person where I want to talk about. I know person where it come from.
How do you do asylum if you carry a phone?
Listen, now I want to tell you so. Now. You must say that they persecute you.
You come first, come school first.
The guy's story was this. Blessing know this person very well. I know who cast the guy, but the guy doesn't know the person very well. McBleny say that they stay for Kanu. Boko Haram. No, Boko Haram, to be honest, let's not.
No, legit. So
Boko Haram was legit. Yeah, people were losing lives and properties, and people were being persecuted.
I actually knew someone like that in Nigeria when I was doing my internship.
But this McBleny was in Lagos.
No, I'm saying it happened.
Okay, all right. Not Kanu. But of course, Baba claim local government of area for Kanu.
It could be from Kano. You don't know. My mom is from Kano.
No.
My mom is from Kano.
I mean, you never know, man. You never know exactly.
I didn't know. See, these are personal opinions, like we've said. I'm not.
Sure.
These are not facts.
Sure.
I might be wrong. So, but in a nutshell, what I entails is you come in, you say you have problem going back home, which is your country of origin. So because of that, US, of course, because of their laws, they have to prevent you from persecutions. You have to bring proof of that, which of course is our common friend did, showed evidence of property being destroyed, pictures of people being killed. And that's all they need to see, like, which are the documents or the evidence. Now, there's a misconception about asylum, that once you are in asylum, you can't travel anywhere. That's not true. There's something called a refugee travel document, which is similar to the documents they give everybody. If you're doing EB-1, if you're doing marriage, they call it a travel document. You can get that and be able to travel to any country in the world except country of origin. Because you say that they persecute you. So, Benny, you can't go back there. Now, if you decide to travel to Nigeria without this is not even having a green card, without being a citizen. The chances of you traveling even while you're having a green card and being denied is there. There have been cases, documented cases for guys that seek refugee asylum, had a green card, maybe after 2 or 3 years, right? That's why they tell you for refugee asylum, the timeline is 5 to 10, because they want you to make sure you have a citizenship first before you go. As a citizen, you can go back home and nobody's going to stop you from getting back to the US. But if you have a green card and as a citizen, you go back to your country of origin, the chances of you getting back into the country is slim. So you don't just want to go back to your country of origin. You can go to France, go to Netherlands, go to everywhere, go relax, but don't go Nigeria. And even why you never even get green card, there's something called a refugee travel document that you can apply for, which gives you the ability to leave the country. So I just want to clear that misconception that even as a refugee seeker, you don't have to permanently live in the US. You can leave the US, visit other places,
But the only places you can't go or you shouldn't go, they won't tell you. But if you go, or yours is your case.
You said they were prosecuting you now. What are you going to do there?
You understand? So that's the conversation. So in a nutshell, that's the different pathways that are available for immigrants, including F-1 guys, to be able to switch status in the US. I know it took quite some time, but I think the conversation was the information was needed. So that's
yeah. Thank you very much, Mark.
That new. So one of the areas I was looking at, I was thinking about. I mean, you've given an excellent wrap, regarding the different pathways that are available. I believe a lot of our listeners and would do not even know that there are so many pathways available for them to be able to legally stay in the US.
Yeah.
Because being outside, because I'm just thinking about myself before I came into the country. I was thinking coming to the US is the most difficult thing ever, that which necessarily it still doesn't mean it's an easy thing or it's an easy thing to get into the country, but this just shows that there are different ways by which you can come into this country and be able to get a legal stay, be able to get and stay legally. And I just thought about, in addition to all the ones we mentioned, there is this new one that Trump just talked about, the 5 million good card.
Yes, that's under the entrepreneurship visas. Now the reason why I didn't talk about it, the reason why I didn't actually talk about it is because it falls under EB-5, but it's a special category that the USCIS hasn't, because it's there's something about the administration. They just say things without putting things on ground to back it. So now USCIS has to go into the EB-5 and give list of criteria that fits. But what I'm trying to say, it's similar to the EB-5, where you need a minimum amount of 1,500. But I think the only difference when I was reading about the gold card was, unlike the 1,500, excuse me, $1,050,000. Now, I think the difference
with all full year.
I think from what I understood about it, which I might be wrong, is unlike where you have to do 2 years and employ 10 people for the business, the 5 million pathway just gives you the green card without doing all of that.
Whatever, just come.
You see the difference.
Yeah.
So for EB-5, ideally, the money doesn't. They want the money invested into the country. It's not. So you're employing people. People are generating money. You are paying them minimum of 10 for 2 years. I think the 5 million thing is you don't need to do that. Or when you just bring the cash in exchange for the cash.
Collect
now. Just go relax.
How many people with $5 million?
I'm talking about it actually makes sense, because when I was in Boston, you met the Abu, right? You came around. We're just talking all those buildings. Like, I stand at my apartment and I look around. There's like 5 different skyscraper constructions going. Some of these are maybe Chinese or different kind of construction companies. And he does, talks with some of these people. Some of them, it's folks here. They have a company. They liaise with external investors. They bring them in. You see, one of those apartments, I remember, I can't remember what the name. It was 4,500. That's I think per bedroom, something like that. 4,500 USD.
For 1 bedroom apartment.
Now so, bro.
For Boston?
Yeah. Now so now that I'm thinking about it, like, so if they want to bring their partners and all that, if the partner thinks, they might need that, they're already going to bring in equipment and a lot of much more money than that anyways. So they could just, throw that in. Of course, that's not for maybe, I don't think any F1 person has that, but I just thought about it.
Yeah, no, that was not going to apply to the national students. I mean, if you already have $5 million, why are you going to school?
An extreme outlier in that case.
Why are you going to school?
Yeah, well, maybe you can. Yeah, but that's.
You may just need
No, I mean that might not. That would not be.
There'll be so many other things you can be.
An obvious pathway for you. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. To do F1, if you already have 5 million, you can do the 1 million 50K.
Let me tell you, with 5 You know what I'm thinking? With $5 million, that's an extraordinary ability. So that's all one. Person go
Yeah.
so that one family route.
I will just do the whole one.
All the routes.
Yeah.
Like if you have $5 million, bro, you qualify for all the routes. I swear.
Yeah. So you do. Yeah. So if you guys have any other questions, I will just try to address it.
Okay.
I was looking online, and somebody was saying, is it possible, since the government is deciding to literally sell legal
They are
status,
selling the green card
green card. Is it possible for her? I saw it on Twitter. So a lady, she was like, as an American citizen, can I sell my citizenship and move and leave the country?
No, because you can't.
Like, leave the country, you can leave the country. But if you leave the country, you're still paying taxes, even as an American citizen outside the country.
Of course, global.
But if I sell my citizenship, that means I'm no more a US citizen. I move to another country. I do not owe the US any taxes. But you give me the $5 million.
That will make sense, right? So basically, you are exchanging your citizenship for the guy that needs it, and you get paid. But the government will not want that. The government will not, because the government always want the money coming to them.
Risky, yeah. And there's a process to even denounce your citizenship. It's not you just go and say I don't want. No, depending on the states, it can take. You pay exit tax as well.
Yes.
There's a process to relinquishing your US citizenship. You can't just say I don't want again, or I don't want, I've gone, and I'm earning money somewhere.
Except they take it away from you. That's when you are free.
Yeah, of course, when they take it away, that's them. But for you to go, I think it can take up to like 1 to 2 years. Actually, the process. I can't remember the details, but you would think I don't want citizenship now. Make I just go. No, it's not that straightforward, which is very interesting.
Then I wanted to also bring up a point regarding H-1B, which I think would be very beneficial to a lot of our listeners, like the field, so specific fields, occupation are more. They issue H-1B visas more, compared to others. There are some other areas that you most likely would not even find, like you will not find people, applying for H-1B in that occupational sector. But mostly people in IT and engineering, IT and engineering and math.
No, I think it's STEM generally.
Yeah, STEM generally.
Yeah.
Management, and because I was not surprised, business and finance, because I was just trying to check online to, see some of the organization. Yeah, because Amazon, some of the companies that mostly sponsor H-1B visas, based on what I'm seeing online. Amazon, Infosys,
IBM. Mention Infosys. I think it's number one. I can't remember.
Yeah, IBM, Microsoft, Google, Meta, then Deloitte.
Yeah, but all these guys are data analytics, right? Which is science.
Yeah, but Deloitte is more like, the consulting firm, but they are into multiple. They're going into different areas, which include accounting as well.
I agree.
Ernst and Young too. I think they're also into.
Yeah, Ernst and Young. That's an auditing firm.
Yeah. Essential. So just to give the listeners ideas, and if before you start applying for a course or a program that you want to study, if you're already thinking ahead, okay, when I'm done, maybe coming for master or something, I would like to go be here legally for a good amount of time, of which people in that area, for example, now somebody with a master's degree in engineering comes in, they get that the first OPT, they can get OPT 1 year to 2 years first. 1 to 3 years, 1 year first and 2 years optional. So let's assume you get 3 years first for OPT as an engineering graduate. Then you now get it while you're there, your company decides to file for you. So literally you can be in legal status the first 3 years after graduation on OPT,
which is 9
to 6 years on H-1B, giving you sufficient time to be able to navigate and maybe move into getting a green card. But I don't know. Do organizations do they also, after your H-1B, do they file for a green card for their employees?
Oh, they can.
They can if they want.
If they want.
But Blessing, you mentioned something that is very, very interesting. The OPT, this 3 years term OPT, you find that some employers, actually, this has happened in a lot of cases. When they want to employ you, they want to make sure that you have the 3-year OPT extension. That you
yes.
So that way, when you're on the second year, then they now throw in your H-1B. So in that way, they guarantee that you're with them a little bit longer.
They're gonna stay.
I actually know someone that they withdrew his employment because he read biostatistics but wasn't STEM. So they're like, so when it was 8 months in, they're like, guys, you agreed to file for me. What's going on? They were like, oh, you have STEM when you're about to. No, I don't. So he had to get report from the school that his degree was not STEM, and they were like, sorry, we're not.
Man, the heck?
Yeah. In fact, I know one that another one. This one was even my cohort. I didn't do. I don't have a STEM OPT extension, right? So they said they were going to file, but they wanted to, apparently they had like 2 or 3 routes. I can't remember. There's one that takes long, and they didn't start on time, so they had to come back to school with the supervisor, right? It's just like continuing postdoc, and the school had like a faster route, so that's how now is a professor somewhere. But
you're saying your program with Texas A&M is not STEM?
No, my own program, it's not.
I mean your doctoral program.
No, it's not STEM. It's not.
Then you were lucky. It's an IW, you know what you do?
No, I don't even know. I mean, it's calculated risk, but God, like you said, God did. But anyways,
I didn't know. Say your program on 1 year. OPT.
Yeah. So that's the risk.
It's a risk. That's very important for the listeners.
Because you have to know what might happen at the end, And those 2 cases, one was my cohort, the other one was living with me for a little bit at some point. So it was that I got to know. But luckily for him, the first one, he had 2 employments. Luck is how God works. He had 2 employments at the same time. He chose that other one because, of course, that was the big one, And they were like, blah, blah, blah. So then, luckily for him, that other person was like, come. They already worked together before. Don't worry, just come. And that's how he was able to continue his postdoc there. And the guy was Indian, calling the babe every night, 1 a.m. and all those things. It was tough. So I guess that's another, just to chip in, I just wanted to zone in on that place of which H-1B, what H-1B, even the stress of thinking through how it's going to work, what is going to work, the mental health component comes in, you want to go home. I mean, you've been around for so long, you can't even travel anymore. All that complication starts to come to weigh you down. Looking for extension. I know someone that was finding extension. That this person asked them. In fact, this person asked them. The extension was going to be an issue.
Why?
Because there was, you have a job that was just like a 1-year contract. You're like between, then you get another job. They were not going to continue that job for you. That you just start.
It was switching employers.
Yeah, in fact, that first job was a 1-year contract. It was just to even hold the first.
Oh, I see.
You understand? To hold the first portion of it, right? So now to switch now became a problem, and it was around that COVID thing.
Yeah, because you need a new.
It was around that COVID thingy. The mental stress, no be small thing. This person,
I can imagine.
We not see for a while. It's not easy. Yeah, just some of these things, it comes to play like that. But importantly, I think one thing Blessing was also kind of mentioning when he was listing the companies, another way to say it is cap exempt and cap subject. Some companies, especially non-profits, mostly hospitals, academia, they can file OPT, they can file H-1B or without exemption. I think they don't go through the lottery or whatever that thing is. So you can get your H-1B, but some other companies, I think others, Amazon and all that, they are cap subject. So yeah, that's another thing. So it's just like there's a little less requirement on the cap exempt companies, mostly non-profits and their academic institution like that. So these are some of the things you should also, because sometimes you might have employment offer. One is Amazon, it's a big deal. One is a small local hospital that is ready to fight for you. Think twice and see what you. Yeah, this can come into.
That's important.
You have to think through it. Like, okay, if I don't get the lottery, what happens?
Yeah.
Because I've seen people that didn't get a lottery. In fact, this one at STEM, luckily, didn't get a lottery because they started the second year. Of course, they want to use you. Let's see how you are the first year to see if we want to deal with you. First time they filed, second time they filed. The person didn't get it, but luckily, they were able. By that time, the person had gotten. It's an engineer, right? The person has gotten more publications, more well-known, presentations and all that thing. All that requirements, so they filed another category. I can't remember if it's O1 or EB-1. I can't remember which one. But they were able to, and they liked the person enough. They wanted the person enough that okay, let's do this other thing. I mean, maybe they could have done it before, but of course, they just want to do what is easier for them to before they start going through all that extra. I guess maybe what I wanted to also ask a little bit for the CPT. I think when you earlier in the on, because I wrote it down. You mentioned about how the CPT can deduct from your OPT.
Yeah.
So it's not always the case, right? So this is where I think everyone, when you're like, we're speaking in general, I just want to emphasize that again. We're speaking in general, the specific cases will determine. So if it's like a part-time, because I know I did this, if it's like a part-time CPT, and you you did it during the program, during the school, less than 3 months, that doesn't count. They won't count it. If it's you can't do CPT and it extends for maybe 12-month period. In fact, that one you don't even qualify for any OPT anymore, because it's also possible you get a CPT, you go and be working outside, right? You can actually get that. So there's a lot of basically speak with your DSO, that's the designated student officer of the school, as well as continue to check with USCIS. Be careful of what you hear from everyone, us people that say things, because even your colleagues your case may just be very different, right? Where you are going to do your CPT may be different from where that person was doing that. How long they did all these things. Just make sure you look into it. There are ways the USCIS they codify these things into law, and there are ways that they look into it. So I just wanted to mention that you could maybe even work full-time during summer, but you had to do on campus.
Right there, yeah. I think I believe I mentioned that earlier, that it's not in all cases for CPT that you have to be able to do it for a longer duration for it to actually affect your OPT. But I also wanted to say something before Blessing go. Maybe we can wrap up from that after that. For the national interest waiver, right? That's a route that I know very well. I just wanted to say this: you don't need to wait to the end of your program to be able to apply for it. That's also very key for international students. In my case, I didn't wait to the end of the program. I started it right before I finished my program. Now, the advantage for that of that process for you before you finish your program is you can actually get approved. I've seen tons of cases from Georgia State that got approved from for the I-140, which is the main basis of the case, which is the main petition. Once your I-40 get approved, then you don't have to worry about anything. You just got to wait because each form has a priority date. And once your priority date aligns with the visa bulletin, you just have to adjust your status, and that's it. So I'm saying that because it's very crucial for international students because of the OPT that we keep mentioning about the limited time that you have to work with. Instead of waiting for you to start OPT before you start arranging your packages to applying for national interest waiver, I strongly recommend that if you have enough or you have some level of the requirement, like in my case, I had a master's already. A master's is considered an advanced degree in the US. So you don't have to wait to get a PhD first. It's just that having a PhD helps because by then you'd have had enough publications. That's why people just wait to the end of the PhD. Yeah. But I was lucky enough to do a master's, have a lot of couple of publications before I finished my PhD. Then I actually just applied. So you can also take that route. If you already have a master's while you're in the PhD program, apply while you're waiting for you to conclude your program. Submit all the required evidence.
and just hope for the best. And I've seen cases of where people stay in the program, gets approved, and all I'm just waiting is to adjust status. So that's just what I wanted to chip in.
Yeah, I think it's also important to add to what you said that there's a lot of people, there's a little bit of misconception about NIW. You need publications, you need publications. Well, if you have, essentially what the requirement is that, without going into more details, but speaking more about the publications, they really just want you to demonstrate that you're expert in this field. You're a promising rising star, and you will benefit the US, if you have the green card, you continue to do in your endeavor, right? So one of the ways to demonstrate that is a publication, right? Because I'm saying this because I know a couple of people, I say, why don't you try this? I don't have publication. Oh, I don't have citation. But
no, you don't need that.
You have all of this. So essentially, sometimes you don't even know what you have until you start putting it together. Or maybe you talk to a lawyer and they can decide, oh yeah,
yeah.
But some people, I know someone that finally did it, but took the person 1 year from saying, I don't have. I'm like, what changed really? Nothing much. You already had this. You already had all these things. So you can get publications, but look at the process of publication, right? You write, you publish. That can take 6 months and all that. And there are people that have gotten the NIW without publications as well.
Plenty, yeah.
Basically, being able to demonstrate your expertise and craft your story, your strategy is the key thing. I just wanted to address that. Someone can think, oh, these guys have a PhD or they went to school. You need advanced degree as part of the requirements, but there are ways that you can tell your story, the strategy you want to put in place, that you can still, or you're eligible to apply as well.
Yes, you're correct. Just to say that, I had a lot of friends that didn't even have any publication. So I think, like you said, just show evidence of whatever you're doing. It's going to benefit the states or the United States, and that's all they need. In cases, it might be publication. Sometimes it might even be volunteer work. Sometimes it might be your work experience where you are currently working. And, you're showing that, okay, I finished from this program in chemistry. This is what I'm doing with. I know somebody in Intel that just got it. No publication, just masters. So, this is what I did. Now, let's be careful. They are not interested in what you're doing in Intel. They're interested in the endeavor that you are doing that is benefiting the United States. So the way this person tied it, just to make it very vivid for us, was this person was my student. I won't say my student, or one of my students that mentored some of our research projects. So the research she was doing was on a lot of stuff that had applicability in Intel. That's how she got a job in the first place. But when she was trying to fight for the NIW, she was trying to highlight what she was doing in Intel. They denied her. All right, we are not interested in it. So eventually, when she got back to the square or to the ground road, got back to the groundwork, she now started talking about all the things she did in Georgia State, her research, right, and how that research is what is giving her the opportunity to do what she's doing at Intel. See the difference? Now they want to know, because you have to do an endeavor like any mentioned. You have to do something that the US considers important. If, like in my case, my basis of eligibility was, I was talking about cancer, right? And cancer is a huge medical burden in the United States. So any ways to stop that burden is a very practical endeavor. So she was doing something that has to do with the environment, right, in school, right? But Intel is making semiconductors. So they were really interested in you making semiconductors. That's not benefiting the United States. A lot of people are doing that. But if you're talking about environmental sustainability and using semiconductors as one of the ways to improve that, then they will listen. So that's how she got approved.
Better story, better strategy.
It's all about story and strategy. It's usually, so that's why I was saying you don't have to have a PhD. A master's or your experience
Even volunteer work. I know somebody that nothing. She was in because in master's she could do thesis and non-thesis. She was a non-thesis student. Did a lot of good stuff in Nigeria. Those experience in Nigeria, very important, counts. I'm telling this now for guys coming in. Don't even think that because you don't have any experience in the United States, you can't fight for NIW. That's not true. This person, 90% of what she did for basis for eligibility was the work she has done in Nigeria. She now said that 90% of the work is what is forming the 10% now that she's currently doing in the state. So they want to, the relevance must be in the United States, don't get me wrong. But I'm saying the experience in Nigeria can be tied into the experience here to booster your case. So just leave that out there, that don't get the solution that you have to have a PhD like Eni said. You don't need it. The basis is an advanced degree, which in many cases is a master's. Arrange your experience where tell your story better. That's why I encourage for NIW. If it's good to self-petition, and I think the chances of self-petition and getting it becomes higher after a PhD because you have less to talk about and more things to show. But for master students, if you want to petition, I'm not saying you can't do it. Having a lawyer, because all these cases I've said now, use the lawyer. Having a lawyer, they are able to help you build your story better and tell that story to the USCIS officer better than you. So I'll just leave it out there. Immigration lawyers are also important.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Mark. Thank you very much, Blessing. I hope you guys had a great time today. It's very, very important talking about immigration. We cannot finish talking about it. It's always an issue. Of course, the different administrations make it even more spicy, to talk about. But we hope people that are currently, trying to adjust get what they are looking for. And we would also continue on this episode, part 2 of this episode, because there's still we want to talk about some of the challenges and hiccups that comes along with this, and also talk about the legal some legal aspects of immigration as well. So we're looking forward to you tuning in to our episode next week as well. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much. Subscribe. Hit the like button, and if you're watching us on YouTube and for every other platform, please just subscribe and just join us every time. We appreciate you coming to listen to us talk about different issues, and we hope to hear from you as well. Get your comments, your reactions, and what you think, or questions as well that you think you might have, and we would gladly love to talk to you about it. Thank you again. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
Bye.
All righty.
Evening. Bye-bye. Bye.